Welcome to First Light. My name is Renaya. Today we deal with the topic of how to get more time out of your day. So this is usually most people's paradigm, current paradigm at least. It is summed up by earthsky.org, and they pretty much say that the day has 24 hours. So every day, or every 24 hours, the sun loops around the sky from noon to noon is how we define the days of the week, and hence is how we also define the Gregorian calendar, which no one seems like they have enough time in. So what are some solutions? Well, let's take a gander and just investigate this a little bit more. First, you have method one. You can always reckon time with a sundial. The ancients used it, and it's not like we're above using it ourselves. So with a sundial, daylight hours naturally lengthen from winter to summer. However, there is a drawback. Just be ready to make it all up when you're going from summer to winter, as the day grows shorter and the night grows longer and you approach the winter solstice. Now, there's an upstream still in comparison to the Gregorian calendar and what we're used to right now. And that advantage is that there's no drastic hour jump using daylight saving time. So for all you who do not like waking up that hour earlier, due to this system that we are currently using that's still in place, that's antiquated, then this may be a method for you. However, for me, method two would be the preferred method. And method two is just simply using the clock found in First Enoch. So how, you may ask, is this more beneficial than our current paradigm? Well, first, there's only 18 divisions or parts per day versus the 24. So it's easier on the mind, division-wise and so forth. But not only that, you get 80 minutes per notion hour versus 60 minutes. And who could not use 20 extra minutes per hour? I know I can get a lot more done, be much more productive if my hours just a little bit longer, let's say by 1/3. Also, when it comes down to waking up, your days, your 12 a.m. commences at sunrise. Now, just to put this in perspective, let's say that you have to go into work at 5 a.m. in the morning time. Well, using the notion clock, what you would actually do is you would reset everything to when the sun actually rises. So let's say that sunrise is at 7 a.m. That means the time from midnight to the time that you normally have to go to work is 5 hours. So using a notion clock, you have to go in at 12 noon. And that means no more baggy eyes, no more coffee. You'll be set to go. Now, just to be serious, we know this is never going to happen. We're too set as a society in our ways to ever switch over. But what it does is this comparison does show the differences between different timing systems that have been used throughout history. Now, the real question is, what time system will First Light use? And to answer that, what we're going to say is that it will be task dependent. So for instance, if we're trying to convey a time of a local event, let's say like the moon meridian, as pictured in the picture below, where the moon is directly overhead, then we'll report using the 24-hour clock that everyone is accustomed to. Now, on the other hand, if we're using scriptures and we're trying to find what was being used during that time frame, then we'll utilize what's being referenced therein and then convert when clarity is necessary. So, for example, John chapter 11 verse 9 says, "Are there not 12 hours in a day? If any man walk in the day, he stumbleth not, because he seeth the light of this world." And that's the Messiah speaking. But he was not using a digital clock. He was using a sundial. So we must always be cognizant of and not imposing what we're accustomed to onto what the text is saying, so that we have a clear understanding. And that at First Light, that is what we're going to provide and allow you to investigate on your own as well. Okay, so how comparable are the three systems? And we talked somewhat about the differences jokingly earlier. So they are somewhat comparable, but it's going to take a little bit of work since their start times and their minute points do vary. So for example, the 24-hour clock always begins at night, while the notion clock begins at dawn. And if you look at the sundial, its minute grows from winter to summer and then shortened from summer to winter, whereas a 24-hour clock, the minute always remains constant. And you can see that as you go from winter to summer, your day will grow in sunlight, meaning your minute and your hours are increasing in time. And as you go from summer to winter, your day will become shorter and your night will become longer, and hence that's where we hit our winter solstice. Right before winter starts, we have our shortest day. So what should you take away from this? Certainly no shenanigans or whatever should be taken away, but there are some important details that do need to be stressed at this point in time. First, that the clock from First Enoch contains 18 parts per day as opposed to the 24 hours we're accustomed to. And I say that because during our course reports, a lot of times First Enoch chapter 72 will be referenced. And if you're studious and you're looking at the information, I again want you to have an easier go at this, understanding immediately what is going on in the text. And understand that the days within Enoch are 18 parts versus 24 hours will help with clarity immediately. Next, because there are lesser parts or Enochian hours, that means that the hours will increase as well. And those hours are now 80 minutes or 1 hour and 20 minutes in comparison to what we're accustomed to. And finally, that the book of First Enoch can be easily understood with a little practice. Any new idea coming at you for the first time can seem foreign and can seem intimidating, but it needs not be. And ultimately, I want to say this: there's no such thing as adding more time today. Ultimately, we must all redeem the same hours or parts as given to anyone else.